What is up, Asheville? It is All Hallows Eve.
Hey, hold up a sec. I know you want to spend Halloween with your friends and all, but I just don't want these late-night trick-or-treaters pestering your mom all night long.
Can we just leave the porch lights off?
Come on, you know they're still gonna ring the doorbell.
Receiving multiple reports about strange events transpiring this Hallows Eve.
Go.
Guys, what are we doing? I thought we were gonna be partying all night.
Not without that bag.
You have no idea what kind of a mess you made tonight. Bring back the sack and maybe we can stop whatever's gonna happen.
Is that blood?
Aoshi?
If you feel easily threatened, then they'll hunt all that hinder their chance of survival.
What are we gonna do?
Oh, and it's midnight, right? We can outlast it till then. We should be able to get through this.
The Ishi will come for thee on the night of Hallows Eve.
This is Kate Sanderson, horror actress based in the UK. Please check out Gruesome Herzog's interviews and reviews. They are awesome.
This is actress Nicola Wright from the UK. Please check out Gruesome Herzog's interviews and reviews. They are awesome.
This is actor Stephanie Lodge from the UK. Please check out Gruesome Herzog's interviews and reviews. They are awesome.
Hello, everyone. This is Gruesome Herzog. My very special guest is director Matt Sampere. He is the mastermind and also the actor in the film called Creeping Death in 2023. Matt, how are you?
I am fantastic. How are you doing?
Great, Matt. It's kind of funny how I came across your film. I mean, being it's October, I think I did it either, was it late September or probably? No, I don't know when I did it. I do so many movies, I can't keep track of which one I do them. But when I saw the pumpkin, and I saw the Halloween feel of it, and then doing some investigating, it kind of threw me back to my youth. I'm 56. I grew up in the 80s. So it had that 80s feel to it before I even watched it. Now, however you want to admit it is or isn't or not supposed to be or whatever, but when I see a movie that flashes me back to my youth, it's an 80s flashback for me. No matter what the intentions of the movie was, I see what comes to mind right away and I just go with it. And the character killer in this movie, I thought, was far out badass. Okay. Your character in the movie was badass because you had decisions to make and you almost did it, but didn't. And now you got your jackass buddies get themselves in a situation that you got involved you, and very unique, very, what's that word to use? Very thoughtful, creative view for a killer. I mean, it's not your typical slasher, which in a sense it is, but it's more of a character base of why and what this thing is. And bravo to you, because when I saw that, I reviewed it. I think you heard my review on this on the film. Is I really enjoyed it because there wasn't nothing that was dead. There was a chemistry-based cast. Everyone kind of flowed together. Not all movies that they flow together, and I'm not afraid to admit that in my reviews because I have to be able to enjoy the characters as well. If there's a dickhead in the movie, fine. If he gets killed, great. Whatever. But what I'm saying is you had the chemistry in this whole movie that everybody just flowed. Was it Monique Parent was your mother?
Yes. Yep. Monique. She came in after, actually. We shot principal photography in 2021 with all the rest of the cast. And we still didn't know who the mom was going to be. And then I went back to California and I was working on another project, and we kept trying to like figure out who's going to be the mom, because we knew we could shoot those scenes separate since
Right.
the other cast members don't interact with her at all in the film. And so I met her on a film called That's a Wrap, and we just hit it off. And I'm like, "Will you be my mom?"
Yeah.
And it's just such a blast to have someone so experienced like being on the set and just pulling it together.
That's awesome, because that's my next movie to review. Is That's a Wrap. That is coming up.
Oh, perfect.
I do have that one. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, the trailer. I think I did some clips on YouTube where I cut it down to like a minute, you know. And one of the scenes that really pops out to me is what you said to the old guy on the phone, and you were really adamant about it. It just sticks out to me. I can't remember what it was anymore. You're the one with the, how was it?
Because it's the other characters that pick up the phone.
Yes, yeah, the one that looks like you.
Oh, Ian.
Yes, very similar to you, because I got confused there for a minute. And he was like really adamant on the phone. It was just so real. I mean, it's acting. It really came off very strong, because sometimes there could be a tendency of overacting when it comes to those types of scenes, because you're trying to make it sound like you're pissed off, but you go a little bit overboard. But that was even keel perfect. There's a lot of good things. The old guy in this movie was, I think the scene that shocked me the most, I think, is when I might get confused again, but didn't you go to help him or something at the truck and he flipped the fuck out?
Yes. Yeah. In our first reaction is I'm seeing him, he's like put in like some of the crops in his car, and one of the crates that he's carrying breaks. And so I go to help him, and this guy just wants to be completely left alone. And then here's this dumb kid trying to be helpful, happy go lucky. And he's just like, no, like stay away. You don't want any part of this, and has to get forceful. And even shooting that scene, Andy, who played Mr. Hawthorne, he was much more brutal on set than I originally saw him written. And I loved what he brought to it. And like, there was a point where, if you catch it, like he pushes me and throws me to the ground. He's very aggressive. Like he's a fantastic actor, but I was not ready for that. So my genuine like reaction in that scene, I'm just like, what is actually happening right now? That's because I'm like, oh, he's in it. Like he brought it to a whole nother level, and it needed that. I'm so glad he did.
Yes, because that gives you an idea of he's hiding something, or there's something that you guys don't know about that he's trying to protect. And that's where I think was one of the key milestones in that movie to get started at, okay, now there is something here. Let's wait and see what happens. And the killer appears, which is fucking badass as hell. That was very clever how you did that, because I just watched a movie called Carved. It was on.
Oh, I just watched that too. Yeah.
I fucking love that movie. I actually interviewed the director last Sunday, and that was one of the most clever movies I've seen, is how it walked. Now, I saw this before that, and it kind of like these two movies together, they kind of blended together to me. Not the same story, but the ones that I really enjoy. I have a list of ones that I really enjoy, and I try to not compare, but try to see if I can find the balance of how the movie's made in the storyline. If I don't like a movie, I do not review it. I just don't, because there's no purpose in that, because somebody might like it and I don't. And some people do go by what I say that I like or don't like. So I don't want to be taking movies away from people's ideas because I don't like it. So I just don't bother doing that. The lowest grade that I give is like a 4.5. I don't go any lower. I just don't review it at all. But yeah, I love it's November now. Halloween just passed. There's a lot of badass Halloween movies out there. And this is one of the ones I saw in October. And I just love the idea of clever, new, interesting ideas for a Halloween film. Don't trick-or-treaters, don't let the trick-or-treaters just disturb your mom while she's sleeping. And that you had everything in this. Like, this poor kid doesn't really have a life because he loves his mom. His mom is dying. He has to stay home. And I can feel the pain that you want to be able to do things but can't. But you're a loving son to take care of your mom. This movie has all kinds of aspects that really makes you think that you could have done the complete opposite and say, fuck this, I'm going. Eventually it kind of happened by accident, but I just love this movie wholeheartedly. And I think it's a really damn good job you guys did on this.
Thank you so much. Seriously, it's so rewarding to have this thing finally out and hear what everybody thinks, because I've been living with this in my head, the idea of this whole film, the monster and everything, I've been working on for 7 years. This version of the script, the movie that's now out, I've been working on for 4 years now. So to finally have it out there and hear what people think, and there's some comments out there that are opposite of what you think on this, and so I love to hear what everybody thinks is where they could go next and how certain scenes work for them. So to hear everything you're saying, it truly means a lot. So and you brought it up best too, that I wanted to make something that felt like a throwback kind of film in a modern time. And so 80s movies are what really inspired me. I love the John Carpenter score, all of his stuff. And so we really wanted to capture all that in the music. And, you totally got what we were going for. And there's some people that I don't think get it when they're watching a movie like this. They're like, oh, it's supposed to be a modern day film. And it is, but we want it to feel like something from, you'd watch in the 80s and 90s, the stuff that I grew up with.
Well, sadly, you got to remember too, because the younger generation, like my nephew, he's 22 and his girlfriend's 22, and he's finally watching horror movies because his girlfriend likes horror movies to a point. So they don't understand the 80s. 80s to them is terrible because they weren't born in that era. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You mentioned about some comments, okay? I love to debate comments that are being made about your film. So please, if you remember, you don't have to say who it was. Tell me what some of the comments are, and I want to see what my reaction is going to be on it.
So there was a comment. There's so many. So we played the film last year in London, which was amazing. That was the world premiere for this thing.
Yep.
And at this point, that was our test screening. We hadn't had the film finished yet. We were still cleaning up some VFX, tweaking color. It was so amazing to go out there. The experience was great, but I knew I was going to tweak things after. And one of the comments was, this movie was so boring, I fell asleep and made up a movie in my own head. And even that was better. And so my reaction to that was, well, let's see that play in IMAX.
Look, I've been doing this for 14 years, okay? And a lot of them are gone now. All the Howard Stern wannabes on movie reviews, okay? What I mean by is they like trashing films, thinking that they're the experts. But these motherfuckers never even attempted to make a film themselves. So my comment to them is, fuck off. Unless you're actually as an actor in a movie and you see the behind the scenes of how it's being made, where the first scene might be the last scene shot, the middle might be the first. There's a lot of work with lighting and everything that has to be done for the movie. So that's why I have the inside scoop, and that's why I am the way I am, because I understand how movies are made. Now, for that blatant comment that was made to you, dick-headed losers like that are trolls. They're flat out trolls. And I'm not afraid to say it. I get a lot of arguments, debates over stuff, just like what you just said, for idiots who just don't really understand the film industry at all. They think that every movie is made has $1 million budget. Wrong. I mean, you can spend $30,000 on a movie and you can make it look like a fucking $100,000 movie or more, because it's all about talent, creativity, and what you have to use. So for someone to say to you that it was boring, how was it boring? So then you must be one of those I always say this. They must be one of these glitter vampire fans that don't know what it is. Because I swear to God, do yourself a favor. Anybody who bashes your film, do homework. I look at Alstay review, and every time I see it, this one guy said his movie sucked. He reviewed Brokeback Mountain. Whoa! I think we're in a different genre here, so your opinion does not matter. That's what I'm getting at. There's a lot of people who don't even watch movies, or they want to get attention. Oh, I'm going to get Matt's attention by trashing this movie. Oh, this is going to be cool. Grow up. You're not 12.
Yeah, first, seeing stuff, because again, it's such split reviews. There's people that are saying they absolutely love it, and that means the world to us. And then we see people either love it or hate it. But then I think about all the movies that I love, and I look at reviews for them. Terrifier. I love Terrifier. Those, if not for that first film, I don't know if I would have been so inspired to go and make this. And I look at the reviews it even gets today. It's like, it's now a multi-million-dollar franchise, but you go online and look at the reviews, even that first one is still getting, and there's people that either love it or people that are like, this is the worst thing ever. And so I'm like, you know what? It's every movie. It's if people are talking about it, you did something right, is the way I'm starting to look at it now. And so I do like to see what people are saying, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? If you don't like it, that's fine. You know what? I know what I had to do, what I had to work with this, and the fact that it's gotten out there the way it has, and people can watch this thing from beginning and end, and it tells a cohesive story. That to me is what was the most important.
And what's the most important to me is you don't have to like your film, but make the comment smart and respectful and not stupid. You don't have to.
Yeah.
They don't have to like the film. But if you're going to say that it's boring and I can make a movie better in my head, you're an idiot. Really? Come on. Because I didn't think there was no need for that. That was kind of dumb. Orton, the guy who plays the Art the Clown, I just watched a movie yesterday. I got a review. It's called Stream. Now, the reason why
I want to check that one out too.
The reason why he was in that movie is because Knucklehead was a special effects guy. So watching him play one of the guys, it's just exact identical to Art the Clown. His movie.
Oh, really?
So I knew who it was because he had a mask on. You don't see his face. But I knew who it was because of the movements like Art the Clown. Okay, great. But Stream was badass. You gotta check that out. I didn't do a review on it yet, but I was impressed. The story.
I am excited to check that one out.
Yeah.
When there were things with the film that were coming out before I even had the opportunity to share it, and I'm like, wait, like I want to be able to make, post a still or the trailer or something first before it gets leaked on the internet. But it's like, no, at this point, it's like the movie is for everybody. I want people to be out there. And I love seeing what people are doing with, clips from the scenes, making their own little fan edits and whatnot. Like, to me, that just shows that people are liking the film and it's going to help get it out there even more.
Yeah, I do have a few on TikTok. I have a TikTok channel that blowed up that all I do is I just take, either put my reviews in there or I'll take like a section of your movie. Don't get mad at me. I'm not. I take 1 minute clip. You have to be careful because you don't want to give the story away. But I pick a clip that I liked, and then on the bottom of it I put like the link to the movie or link to where to get it at, so people can click on it. But they took off. I mean, I can tell that you can, like, if it gets 1,000 hits in a matter of 5 minutes, people are interested in that. So that's, I don't do any pirating and none of that stuff, but I just like to promote. If I like your film, I want to promote it more than just my review. I like to make it to where TikTok seems to hit everybody a lot faster than YouTube.
100%. I think that's what helped us out in the beginning was when we cut the first teaser trailer before I even finished the film. I cut a teaser trailer just to show people like, hey, we're working on this. This is a little taste. And and I uploaded it 3 different times, but altogether it hit like over 1.5 million views. And it was on TikTok, and I'd never seen anything that I've done take off that quickly. And I'm like, I think we have something here. Then we put out the full trailer, and at first it was doing really well. It was taking off on TikTok, and I was like, okay, like if we're getting all these people to watch the trailer, if we can even get 1/10 of them to go and watch the full movie, we're good. And then TikTok flagged it. And it stopped like coming up people's thing. And so now I'll put it up like once a week to see if it'll take off again. And it gets like, it'll stop at like 200-300 or something. It won't it's not catching the way it did. So I'm like,
and what happened
did you do the first time?
Right. If you click on it, you look at the bottom, it'll say not a policy issue, not allowed on TikTok, meaning it can't be a trailer. It's weird because I've done one already and it flagged it. I just took it down because the numbers stopped. There's something about what you have to do, and this is an idea for you if you want to promote more, is take a sample of your movie, cut the scene out of the movie, and then put it on TikTok. Then it'll go the whole way through because it doesn't know that's a trailer. It knows if it's a trailer on YouTube. So if you do something that's non-trailer like, it'll stay on and keep moving. So
that's a good call. I think that might be the next thing to do because I plan on pushing this all throughout the rest of the year. I mean, I don't plan on stopping. So trying to find ways of creating micro content. I plan on doing a bunch of little like behind the scenes making of type stuff to put up just to keep it getting out there because I'd love to see this thing grow into something else by next Halloween.
Well, one of the scenes that you could use is real simple. Is use a scene starting with you going to help that guy in the truck and stop it when they kids run away from the house. There's your one little scene. You slice it together. There's your scene you can put on TikTok. That's going to get cut. They're going to say, "Oh, what's this about?" That's a good way of getting them attracted to your movie.
That's really a good call. Yeah, especially cutting like when we see the blood on the hands. That'll really make people go like, "Oh, what is that from?" No, that's a good idea.
So, like I said, Yeah, so I mean, I'm not an expert, but I've been experimenting, and I can see the numbers. Like my YouTube channel has, like, I got an email today, which is really weird, on my Gmail from my YouTube channel, and it said it was a filmmaker in England. He has a what's it called? It's a documentary film, but it's about something to do with a video game where it's a ghost invades the whatever. And he contacted me and he said, "Hey, I love your channel. Would you like to review this movie?" It had a big showing in the UK, and it's starting to go into the United States and the film festivals. I said, "Sure." That's the first time that I ever actually got a movie review request from my YouTube channel. I've noticed that my channel is starting to grow. I mean, I'm at like 1,600 subscribers. I mean, as far as views wise, it's crazy because I get these little plaques, not from YouTube, but in emails saying that you reached 650,000 people. You reached 1 million people. I don't really look at, you don't really look at numbers until you do, but all I look at is subscribers. It's really weird. But I've noticed that my channel is starting to kick up a little bit because I like to keep my stuff. You've seen it. I do my intro, I'll put the trailer playing first, and then it goes to my review. That way people can actually watch the trailer in your movie and then let me talk about it. And it seems to work that way for the last 14 years. Well, I just started doing the trailers maybe a year ago. I started doing the actual trailer, and I found out some tools. But I think people like that because they can watch the trailer. That's knocked out. And then they can listen to my review. And I'm getting comments and hits and stuff. So it's working for me. I don't do it full time. I work full time I'm a T-Mobile store manager. So I work in the phone business. So this is what I do for fun, just to, blow some steam. But there's time. I kid you not, Matt. I've watched 2 movies in a row that I was disappointed. It was watchable, but I still reviewed it. And I thought it was like, one was called Ghost Game, where they go into people's houses, and I was disappointed. And then I get lucky and find your film, and I find Carved, and it's just more of a hit and miss with me. It's a lot of it is like, I have like 300 movies right now that from this year and last year that I haven't touched yet, because when I look at the title, I look at the trailer, I'm thinking, man, this is not for me. Maybe it is, but I try to find stuff that really attracts me first, and I just skip it up. And that's where your movie came along, where, wow, it's a matter of my 80s throwback taste too. When you're born in the 80s, you can feel 80s vibe movies. And that's the first ones I'm going to watch. It's something that has my interest. I'm not a fan of I'm not a constant fan of vampires and Draculas. That's not my cup of tea. Mine's like weird stuff like Bigfoot or serial killers or any kind of creature. Or like, I watched a movie called Crackoon.
Oh, yeah. I've got to watch that one still.
Look, it's cheap made. I get it, but I loved it. The 2 gay guys in there were the funniest fucking things ever. It's a really good movie. And I understand that they don't have the money to do an actual killer raccoon. You can tell it's a stuffed animal, but it was done enough to where it's funny.
You're going to have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I watched another one called Zombeaver.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So I'm a weirdo when it comes to stuff like that. Now, when it comes to other films like Exorcist Shark and Shark of the Corn, them I don't watch because that's just way too stupid for me. But anyways, I'm talking my ear off, but of where my taste is when it comes to certain movies. And yours is one of the ones that caught my attention. And I tell people at work, I have a guy that he went to see Terrifier 3 because my store's in a mall. The theater's across the hallway. So he's seen Terrifier 3 there when it was playing in Pennsylvania, in Lebanon. He was talking about how great it was. I said, look, that's fine and dandy. I have 2 movies for you to watch. Go look for Creeping Death and go look for Carved. Come back and talk to me about it. And he did. And he loved them. So
perfect.
I use Terrifier to get people to watch other movies other than, because Terrifier's, and when it first came out in 2013, when it was All Hallows Eve, which that was stupid. But then it came to Terrifier, the first one, Terrifier. I say Terrifier, they say it's Terrifier, but first one was good. It was new, fresh. Now it's a franchise, but I always use that movie when people bring it up to me to pass off other movies. And it seems to work. So it's a stepping stone for you too. But now
Yeah.
the idea, you said you took 4 years that you were working on this movie. The script took you how long to write? Was that 4 years?
No, it didn't. So originally, the whole kind of lineage of this is I came up with the idea for this film 7 years ago.
Okay.
I knew I wanted it. I discovered the folklore of the Ishi, and I thought, how cool would that be as a horror movie? It was right around the time Krampus came out, and I had no idea what Krampus was until Michael Dougherty made that movie. And then suddenly everybody knows who Krampus was. And so I started looking at the lore of Halloween. That's where I discovered the Ishi. And so then I wrote a script. And I tried shooting it on an iPhone. I barely had any film experience. I shot a music video at this point. I had nothing else to my name, but I'm like, oh, this music video is doing really well. If I can do that, I can surely spend a couple extra days shooting a full feature. Can't be that hard, right? I had no idea what I was doing. And so started trying to shoot it, failed. I got into film school and I said, you know what, let me wait until I'm in film school. I'll have access to great gear, lenses, cameras, and cast and crew, people that are there because they want to make stuff. Like, let's try and get a team together and be the first people to make a feature in our class. And so every weekend we were out shooting. I got a bunch of my friends and we were shooting every weekend. And it's a fall movie, so it's all being shot outside for the most part. And we had 2 more days of shooting left, and they were all outside, exterior stuff. And the snow started coming down, and there was no way we were going to be able to finish for that year because it was going into November. It was this time of the year, and you know how it can be over here. You never know if it's going to be really nice. Like today, it's like 70 degrees outside and walking around in a t-shirt. It's fine. Or it could be snowing. And so it was snowing, and I was like, all right, let me push production to the spring. It's at night, so we can cheat some stuff and it'll be able to cut together. The spring came around, and like people moved away, people got tattoos, changed their hair. I got, fat. And so I'm like, okay, none of us look the same. And so I was like, this thing is dead in the water again. And I had all this footage. I had like 14 days worth of footage. And I'm like, I can't do anything with this. And so I walked away from this completely. And then right when it was before COVID hit, I got to see a test screening of Halloween Kills. This was I think this was February of 2020. And I saw a test screening of Halloween Kills, and it blew my fucking mind. I went in without seeing a trailer, without being a poster. No one even knew that they finished filming. But so I went in and I saw the test screen, and it blew my mind. I just loved it. I loved that it wasn't just a slasher. I loved that it was, it was a throwback to the original. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite sequels, right after the original Halloween. And so that made me really just want to go back and make a fun Halloween film because I'm like, this movie is going to bring slashers back. And that's how it truly felt. And so I went home and I just started writing. And I was like, I need to, I've got this idea for the Ishi. Let's bring this in because that was a great kind of like foundation. But I want to tell something that has a little bit more drama to a little bit more elements than just your, just a straight up slasher. I wanted there to be some depth to it. And so that's when I started like thinking about like, how can we put some emotion in this? I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead. I love, every week just seeing like what the hell is going to happen with these characters. You care for these characters. And so obviously you have 15 seasons to make you, develop these characters, make you care for them. I'm like, how can I at least try? How can this help me? How can I try to do something like that in 90 minutes? And so that was the goal. And so it took about, I spent about 3 to 4 months to write the original script. Now getting back to your question. So it took about 3 to 4 months to write the script that we ended up shooting because I threw out everything else. I threw out my original script that I shot in college. So started 100% from scratch with the lore of the Ishi, and then just spent about a month outlining how is it going to open, where do we want to see the ending go. I knew I wanted to have a scene where our main character might have to become the bad guy. I was like, how interesting would that be? The guy that we're kind of rooting for the whole time suddenly becomes the villain. I've never really seen that in a horror movie before, except in Star Wars 3 when we're watching Anakin turning, you know what I mean? So I wanted to kind of have a moment in there. And so I just had these like little ideas. I'm like, I don't know how to get this all to work. And so I spent about a month outlining, and then I spent another 3 months after that writing out the whole script. So within 4 months, we had the script. And then I was always changing little things, tightening things up here, getting feedback. And then I was like, okay, I know I was going to try and shop the script around Hollywood. And I'm like, I can play this game and never get anywhere with this, or I can just say, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself. And I was like, okay. And again, this is where I go back to the Terrifier guys, really, and I know a lot of filmmakers are doing it. But like, with those guys doing their Indiegogo campaign and seeing the success they're having and seeing them at the cons pushing, I'm like, if they can do that, then maybe we can do this. And so that's when I said, okay, let's go make the short film. Let me prove to myself that I can get something, in the can with this monster, because this will now be my third attempt at working with this. And so I wrote a short film, like a 10, 15 page short film. We shot that. And then we used that to be like a trailer and a proof of concept that we could use for Indiegogo. And then that's how we ended up getting, the funding to do the real thing.
Wow. Well, like I said, you could tell it's a blood, sweat, and tears movie. I mean, it's not a big, gigantic budget, obviously. But films like that, it's accomplishment alone just to make a movie, just to even get it done. I know a movie that I did as a psychiatrist. We shot it in 2012 in State College.
Wow.
It never got released until 10 years later.
Oh, yeah.
Everything happened where they moved. One's building a house. One had a baby. And I can remember, I think like 2 years before it was released, I had to do voiceover over the phone with the cop. And then 2 years later, it was released. And then, seeing myself on TV, I don't like it, but I watched it. The movie's called Shatter. It's on Tubi right now.
Oh, man. Okay.
We'll get a chance to watch it, Shatter, where I have a patient that I released to the outside, and we don't know if he's still crazy or whatever, but the ending scene of the movie, when I saw myself, that was an all-day shoot. And when I saw that, granted, it's 10 years ago, so I look a little bit younger than I do now, but the scene turned out, I liked myself in there. And very rarely do I say that, but that scene I thought was awesome. So I was glad that, it's even on Tubi. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's the industry alone is, if you're not in it, you don't understand it. Until you're in it, then you understand it. Because it's not all candies and sugar and cupcakes. It's a lot of hard blood, sweat, and tears. Something can happen that gets one scene can be delayed 2 or 3 days. You got to worry about the actor not changing his appearance because it's not going to match the old appearance. It's a lot of work. For me to stand here and criticize someone's film. Now, granted, if it's a big budget film, I won't hesitate to slam it because they have plenty of money. They could have done it the right way. But when it comes to independent films you have to do what you do to make it work. You just do it and make it work. And that's the end of story.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it really is a miracle getting anything made. I mean, again, this was my third attempt at trying to make this, and even shooting it, I didn't think we were going to be able to finish it. And I was so worried. And that's why it took me 3 years to go from shooting, because we shot in 2021. And then over the last 3 years have just been saying, okay, this moment doesn't work. This doesn't work. The music here needs to be better. The sound can be tighter here. There's moments that feel like weak spots. How can we pull that together? And again, it's like we could do this thing and rush it out. And then, but it's like you already put in so much time and effort and work. Why do that to yourself? Yeah, right. So it's like I would much rather, because it's so hard to get something made and get it in the can. It's like I would much rather spend more time. And I mean, I'd rather get it all right on set. But it's like, you know what? If we have the ability to change things in post to make something better, then I want to take that time. You know what I mean? Even if it's as simple as, hey, we should have gotten a close-up of this hand over here doing something. That's going to help connect everything so much better and be a great cutaway. Cool, I can go in my backyard right now with my camera and get that. So there was a lot of that over the last 3 years to just really make everything flow as smoothly as it could.
It turned out very nice, and I'm very proud because it's a really good product.
Thank you.
One more thing we're going to talk about real quick is the killer, the creature. Where'd you come up with the idea of the face? I mean, as far as the way it looks.
So the face, that came up. That was kind of the first thing that we came up with even 7 years ago before we even really had a script. Is what's the monster look like? Because to me, it's like that's the most important. I'm a huge, obviously I'm a huge horror movie fan, but I'm a huge collector as well. I've got action figures of every single monster out there, and I always wanted something. My goal was to make something that could go on a shelf next to Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, the greats. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, there's something that's different that looks right on the shelf next to them. You know what I mean? I want an action figure of the monster. I want to wear that monster on a t-shirt. And if I don't want to, no one else is going to. And so that was the most important. And so I knew I always wanted it to have a jack-o'-lantern style face. I always knew I wanted the glowing eyes. I didn't really know what else. And so a buddy of mine and I, he's a mask sculptor. He makes a lot of the Michael Myers masks and stuff like that. He makes custom ones, and he's fantastic. And he was going to help me make the mask for this thing. And so I had no money. I was in my early 20s. I was an undergrad in college, and so I had nothing. And I asked my buddy, I'm like, can you make this mask? And so he happened to have like a blank Michael Myers mask. And I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm like, that's how they took the Shatner mask to make that. Let's just take this and see what we can do. This was for the very first iteration of the movie. And so we just took a Michael Myers mask. We cut out the mouth, cut out the eyes, and then we're like, all right, what's this look like? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be a spirit stuff. So we just spray painted like the whole thing gray. We gave it like some leaking black eyes, like some black ooze. This is like the original mask.
Yeah.
And then we just gave it kind of like strangly hair, kind of like the Monster and Sinister. And so that first version of the mask, which it never made the movie or anything. That was kind of our foundation. Actually, the actor we had cast for again, I was learning everything going through this. So like our first day of shooting with the monster, my monster actor showed up. I'm like, here's the mask. We never thought to measure the mask. I just assumed one size fits all. Mask didn't fit him.
Oh no.
And so I'm like, well, guess today is kind of over. I'm gonna have to recast. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. And but that was the first one. It was, it all started with a Michael Myers mask. And then when it came time to doing it for the feature, I had all these sketches on what else I wanted to do to the mask, the look I kind of wanted to have, how I wanted it to move a little bit more. And so then we reached out to another mask designer, Monster Mark Kosabuki, who I think he's in Pennsylvania as well. I think that's where he is. Yeah. Because I had to drive out to pick up the masks like 2 days before we started shooting. But I sent him all the sketches, and I was like, hey, we need something that is, unique. It's our own, and it's our own monster. I don't want to take another mask and do that. I want to have something where if we need to replicate it again, we can. Something that's unique to this film only. So we showed him what we had before, talked to him about what we liked. We told him we liked kind of having some of the longer hair. We liked the eyes and the mouth and stuff like that. We never really talked about the nose before. The nose on the previous versions of the mask, like if you watch the short film, you'll see in the short film, it is just a Michael Myers mask we customized. But so then he was like, well, let's get more of a like pushed in nose, almost like a jack-o'-lanterns and stuff like that. And so he just kind of took that and ran with it. And I just fell in love with what he did. And, once we got it on set with, on our creature actor with the costume and the lighting, the way, the shadows play on it, it just came together so perfectly. And we didn't know we didn't know what the monster was going to look like literally until we were shooting the first death scene.
That's awesome. That was a cool character.
Thank you so much.
So how has the success of your movie been since its release?
So far, so good. It's hard to tell how many people are watching. I'm hoping that it's out there more than I know, because we don't hear about the numbers or anything on that. But going online and seeing people posting, videos about the film, people sharing it, people commenting, there's been so much love. This is the most exposure I've ever had to a project before. Having people like yourself reach out saying how much they love it, is that to me shows that it's successful. People keep asking, are we going to do a sequel? When people are asking me that, I feel like I guess we did something right if people want to see that. So as far as numbers go, I'm not really sure like how much it's really getting out there, but to me, I'm like, you know what, something I've done is finally getting seen by people, being able to talk to other people in the industry that I look up to, and being able to say, hey, look, I also have something, and we're out on a major streaming platform. You can go watch it right now. That to me is success.
No. Well, it's well deserved because, like I said, I mean, I don't say this to just anybody, only a select few, but I really connected with your movie, and that's why I reviewed it. And that's why I reached out for an interview, because I like, if I like something, I want to hear from the director's mouth, just to, how he feels. Of course, as a director, you're always going to find fault with your film no matter what, because it's it's human nature, because we're not, I mean, I'm that way too, but the movie just clicked with me and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Seriously. And you're 100% right. I look at this thing and I'm like, I should have done this. I'll never be happy with it. But I'm like, you know what? This is the best I can do with what we have now, unless I want to spend another 5 years on it. And I'm hoping to be making something else by then.
Well, I'll tell you what, you mentioned it about part 2. I didn't really think about that, but since you mentioned it, it could be a clever idea. I think that would really take off. I really do. I mean, the story itself, it ended mysteriously. I don't want to say too much. People didn't see it. But you can make something from that. You can always continue it on. There's always a way. And Mr. Hawthorne did do a damn good job in there, because you better bring that bag back now. It's just...
Yeah, no, I'd love to be able to pick it back up. I mean, again, for me, it's like, I want this character to keep growing. I'd love to do more, even if it's not a creeping death movie or following my character or whatever. It's like, the idea is that these creatures are everywhere, and have been for the longest time. And so I would love to just see other stories of where this character or other ones could be on Halloween night. And just see kind of what mischief they're getting into and how other people are handling these situations. And I do have a really cool idea for a scene. If I could get the budget to shoot it, a really cool scene that I think would really get people's attention, that I'd like to do in part 2. So, but it's just trying to figure out, will we be able to, is there going to be enough interest to make it worth doing one? Because I'd love to dive back into that and just keep telling, Halloween-based stories.
Right. Well, you know what? It was great to have you on.
Thanks so much. Great to be here.
But I do want to say thank you for coming on as a guest. I really enjoyed Creeping Death, and I really enjoyed his interview. I mean, I wouldn't expect less. The movie was made with class. Yeah, it's a movie that I can't forget. So thank you very much for the entertainment, and thank you very much for the interview.
Hey, anytime, man. Happy to be here. Thank you so much for watching and spreading the word. It means so much to us.
No problem, Matt. You take care.
You too.
Bye.
What is up, Asheville? It is All Hallows Eve. Don't forget to light those jack-o'-lanterns to ward off the evil spirits coming to your door this evening.